Okay, let's do this one more time. We've made some additional changes to the way we complete a 99 in Ruby. Of course, this week has been a trial and error for everyone, trying to get used to it. And I think these changes will help you. This is the last time I'm making changes to this portion, a compliance review of Ruby for the next 30 days. We need to give it time for everybody to get used to it. If you see a glitch that's truly a glitch, please let me know and we will work on that. But if you have something that you think will make your life easier, then please write it down and we can visit that at the end of 30 days. So the first thing we want to do is go to Services Facilitator. I'm on a computer and not an iPad, just for the ease of you for seeing this, so you can see the little arrow moving all around, my little pointer, so you can see what I'm actually doing. So we want to go to Add a Session. Here we want to go to Complete a Review. Want to put in the name of the individual that the review will be on, and I'm going to use Val Test. I'm going to hit Enter on my keyboard. You would choose in the upper right corner on the blue word Continue. You want to complete each field on each one of these screens. This is updating the individual's record. Some of this information came over from Laura's, some of it didn't. There are lots of reasons why it didn't, and lots of reasons why some did. But the bottom line is all this information needs to be completed because this information shows up on that 99 and on their plan of care. Do not get into the habit of zooming through because you want to get in and out of the individual's home quickly to the end, going through, getting the signatures and thinking, okay, I'm going to save this and come back home and go through my information. You've lost the information. The information that you input is fine, but think of the review like a receipt. You go to the grocery store, you buy 5 items. Those 5 items show up on that receipt. You then can't go back to the grocery store and add 3 more items for it to show up on that receipt. It's not going to happen. You're updating live the individual's record. So whatever is on these screens, these next screens, will be what's on that 99. So it is imperative that these are completed before you actually get to the screen to capture their signatures. Now, once these screens are completed, you don't have to do that again. It's perfectly fine. The next time you have to revisit it is during your 6-month reassessment visit, and that's what you should be doing during a 6-month reassessment visit. Not just going in and saying, hi, how are you? Anything currently going on medically. You should be updating each one of these screens with your individual. It's part of our job. So let's go through and look to see what we need to update, what we don't. It looks like most of this, all of this is filled in. We go to the next screen. We've got an attendant that's not related. We've got the schedule. We've got the primary care position. They're at now this is something that you should ask at every visit if their MCO has changed. If the individual's MCO changes, you have to notify Tammy immediately because their authorization will end. And we need to know where to, ask for another reauthorization. It's just not going to happen automatically. And then all of a sudden, the individual, their attendant's not going to get paid, and they're going to be calling you, yelling at you. Then you've got to stop and try to figure out why. So it's always just, a habit. Ask, has the MCO changed? Is your MCO still Aetna or whoever is showing up there? You can easily update telephone numbers. You can say who this is. You can add a number. Same for email addresses. And designate who it is. Here you could even go other, and you can put in Leslie. The next screen, you're going to make sure that residence marital status, race, and language is completed. This used to be required for level of care assessments. We don't have to do level of care assessments any longer. KeyPro is taking that over. However, the word on the grapevine is we may be getting it back. So complete this information because we will need it. What happens during the day? Do they go to school? If it's a child and they go to school, where do they go? Where do they go to school? When do they leave home? When do they return? Or do they go to a group day support? This would also include a group day support would also include adult daycares, I guess is the best way to put it. Or if they're just home, then it would be none, and none of this would be completed. Any impairments that they have. The below section, service facilitator information only. This is just for your information. You do not have to complete anything here. This is just so you know that this consumer was new to CD services. It was not a transfer to us. If it were a transfer, maybe you would see something over here as to where they came from. It's helpful, useful information for your knowledge when you're chatting with the individual. And if they have a patient pay, once we have checked Medicaid's portal, you would see that dollar figure here. CDPA provider, consumer-directed personal attendant provider, toddlers to grandparents. Respite provider, toddlers to grandparents. You need to check these boxes. Those need to be checked. Even though it seems a little redundant, it's two different places, you're answering the same question. They populate different areas, right? So we don't need anything here. Agency provider, obviously this was something we were playing around with. That's what the test people are for. But to get rid of something you put in there, you're just going to find other, where they've typed it in, and you can just back it out. But maybe they do go to an adult day health care and it was diversity. So we'll just leave that one just for the heck of it. Go to the next screen. What dependencies did populate over from Loris couldn't recognize the format that Ruby had for that dependency. Some of them didn't come over at all. And there's a reason why they didn't. It's a lot of people we had in here from the beginning of Loris, which was about 1.5 years ago, they haven't had any updates on their dependencies in 1.5 years. So if they haven't had any updates, then an individual profile was not created for the update to happen. So this information was pulled from individual profiles. So if you don't see anything populated here in this little I, that means you're going to have to ask the question and update this. If the information pulled over, just touch this little I, always performed by others, and complete it here. They need help, performed by others. For dressing, we're going to touch the I, which means information, mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. So we're going to come down mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. We'll populate that and make sure that needs help is populated. Same for toileting. Mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. Mechanical help, human help, physical assistance, and we do have it checked for needs help. Checking it here and checking it here, again, two different areas. The amount of help that's required for this ADL is populated on the 99. The needs help is populated on the plan of care. So you need to complete both sections. They go to two different spots. Eating, information icon. Mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. Mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. Needs help. Transferring. Mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. Mechanical help, human help, physical assistance. And needs help is populated. And again, if when you touch the eye, if that is blank, then you simply interview the family, see what their extent is. It should be updated every 6 months at any point anyway. Do they need supervision of medication? Do they have range of motion exercises? Normally you may see that or you may not see that, but it's simple to make these changes. Ambulation, they need help turning and changing position. You'll usually find that with someone maybe who has cerebral palsy or someone who's very elderly, hospice, in a hospital bed in their home, or a severe car accident that they can't turn. Grooming. Generally, if they need help bathing, they need help grooming, or any general supervision. If general supervision is checked, then we must have a DMS 100 for CCC plus waivers and a P257 for DD waivers. Instrumental activities of daily living. You're going to make sure everything that they need help with is checked. And don't just go through and check everything because, oh, they've got a waiver, they need help with everything. It may not be necessarily true, okay? If the individual is 7 years old, they probably don't need help with money management because they don't have any income coming in, right? So just pay attention to what you've got checked and going on, the person's age, their abilities and their inabilities. Mobility, again, there's an I. Confined, does not move about. So we'll hit confined, does not move about. Continency, with their bladder. We'll click that I. They're incontinent, less than weekly. Incontinent, less than weekly. There's an I for bowel. Incontinent, self-care. So we're going to incontinent SC, self-care. We'll check the next screen. Behaviors. This is completed, but if it weren't, you'd click that I to see if there's anything there. Wandering passive, weekly or greater. Wandering passive, weekly or greater. And then they've got less than weekly here. So you want to make sure the only, well, on behaviors, actually, there you can have a couple of different things. You could have wandering passive, weekly aggressive, and they can also be abusive and aggressive at the same time at different areas. So if you do have 2 items checked here, you want to make sure that your description addresses both. Orientation, they're disoriented, some spears, sometimes. So we've got disoriented, some spears, sometimes. And what spheres? Time. And where did we get that information? The information can come from the UAI if it's first entered. It can come from the PCG, which is the primary caregiver. It can come from the individual themselves. It's just how was that question answered? Medication administration, administered, monitored by a layperson. Or you may have someone who's cognitively aware and can administer their own medications. Joint motion, you have within normal limits, limited mobility or instability, uncorrected or immobile. The next screen talks about their level of care, and this can be confusing to a lot of people, so let's go over this. We've got bathe with human help or human help and mechanical help. All of these answers are the same. Is dressed or does not dress, or they can with help or with only mechanical help only. Generally, do they need help bathing? Yes. Are they to the point that is bathed or is dressed or is fed? That would be somebody's got to give them a bath or the bath will not happen. Not just assist with the bath, but physically it's not going to happen at all, right? That's where number 2 comes in. Otherwise, it's number 1. Where people do get confused is the continency, right? Continent, incontinent, less than weekly, self-care. That's a colon. It means even though they're incontinent, are they self-care? Can they take care of themselves? That would be a score of 0. Incontinent, greater than weekly, or not self-care. So this could be something, they're continent, right? Because we're using the word or, not self-care, but they still need help maybe wiping after a bowel movement. So they're not self-care. So they're either incontinent greater than weekly, you would check that, or they're not self-care when it comes to toileting. So that's where your number 2 would come in. And score 9 plus, 35 hours a week, wounds, tube feeding, etc. This is a tough one. And everyone gets confused on this one. Remember, score C is only a score 9. That'd have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Score 9 and above. And if there is a medical nursing need such as a G-tube feeding. So if their score comes out to be a 9 or above, and there's a medical nursing need as a G-tube feeding. So they could score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and still be at level care B because there's not a medical nursing need. So please be cognitive of that. We'll flip on over. PERS. Is the member receiving PERS? Let's say no. Are they in need of PERS? Let's say no because they have natural supports in place and everything's good. Member receiving supervision. And remember, the supervision is general supervision. It would be the DMS 100 or the P257 if they were receiving formal general supervision. And if they are receiving supervision, have they been informed of PERS? You answer yes or no. If applicable, is he or she receiving medication monitoring? Medication monitor sometimes comes along with PERS. So if they have PERS, then that question comes more into play. So we're going to hit NA. If the member has PERS and or medication monitoring, answer the following questions. I've got an NA here, but necessarily you don't even have to answer them because they're not receiving either. Therapies, durable medical equipment. DME is durable medical equipment. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. Could be some therapies. Swim therapy. I've seen that before. Durable medical equipment. Could be wheelchairs, shower seats, cane, walker. Depends for diapers. Oxygen tank. A blood glucose monitor if they're diabetic. Grab bars in the bathroom. Handrails to get up and down stairs. Durable medical equipment can be a lot. And when you list that, it's important to list it because it gives the authorizing agent for their individual hours a better view of what's going on with this person, how much help do they need. Current medical nursing needs. I see lots and lots and lots of things here, but this is basically saying that what do they need in order for this waiver to happen? Well, they need support with ADLs and IADLs, right? That's got to be your number one lead-in because that's what an attendant does. We support with, or they support with activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living. And then after that, we could follow through with their fall risk or observation to prevent destabilization because their medical issues are so great. We have someone maybe with a developmental disability and we could put unable to self-assess, inability to recognize danger or not if you've got a child and they wander. So there are lots of things that cover their current medical nursing needs, but the lead-in should be support with ADLs and IADLs because that's what we're trying to set up for the family. List all of their medications. And if that line is not big enough, list additional medications. So there is a character limit. That character limit is put on there because the form on the line only holds so much, right? So that's why you're going to have additional medications, which you can print on another page. Hospitalizations. If they've had none, don't skip it. Just type in none. You'll see their diagnoses here. and you'll see an extra spot for any additional. And then we'll go on to the next one. And this is the justification. You're going to, normally on a new intake, you'll see this justification here. And that verbiage has been taken from the UAI when it's input into the system. You can update this. You can change this. You should read this. What you don't want to have happen is Mary is a 3-year-old little girl, and now Mary's 10. Right? So this should be read and updated as necessary. And then we can hit next, which comes to the 99. You all were getting typing over information that pre-populated, just because it was a little confusing, not that you did that on purpose. We're trying to make it not as confusing for you. And you would get an error message, cannot complete this form because modified by must be completed, and you couldn't go anywhere. You'd have to hit revert, which you would lose all your information. That's because you were populating over a date that was already in there. When you see lots of dates over here, and you come down here and you see nothing, it looks like, okay, I can just use that, then just filling in the blanks. You can't, because those dates pulled over from Laura's for your information, so you can kind of determine, okay, I did a 6-month review, so it's been October, November, December, January, February, March. Now I'm time for another 6-month review. So you can determine whether it's a routine review, whether it's a 6-month review. You can determine if you have any management trainings left, and how do you know if you have management trainings left. Okay, let's say a management training was done. No, I don't want to delete that. A management training was done on this record and on this record. And you can look, okay, we did one on, let's say this is March 23. And I did another management training on this review. I've used 2 for this authorization period. And when I say authorization period, just look at your dates. And then you can look at your authorizations over here. And obviously, if this were a real record, you would see many more authorizations. Right now, you're seeing attendant hours 3/30/24 to 3/29/24, which are bogus dates. We're just playing around. But you'll be able to just calculate yourself and determine those hours. And then if you're confused as to, okay, this is Aetna, how many management trainings do I have? This little I button here, again, whenever you see an I throughout Ruby, it's information. So it'll pop up for you. And you can see for Aetna, as attendant authorization is going to last for 6 months. A respite authorization, they give us a year. 99,509 routine visits, they give us 10 of those a year. They give us 2 6 months. So Aetna, we can see every 30 days. They give us 6 management training units per year. So you could have 6 times for management training for that authorization year. So that's basically how you're reading this little screen. So what I'm saying here is below information is for your reference only. Please note that the following before you're completing your review. Okay, is this a 6-month or is it a routine? I'm looking over here at authorizations. Do I need to complete a new plan of care? Well, I'm seeing their authorization runs out 3/29/24. So yeah, I need a new plan of care. So after I finish this review, I'm going to go do a new plan of care. Do I have any management trainings left? How many hours do they have? How many days per week? Well, they've got 30 hours and it's Monday through Sunday, so it's 7 days a week. So you have that in your brain before you actually start to complete that review, right? So the first thing you want to do is touch here before continuing. You're going to touch there, and it's going to drop you down here, and it'll pre-populate today's date for you. Choose your name. Let's just, Allie, you're up first. Sorry. Please choose the type of visit. Let's say that this is a 6-month visit. And if it's a 6-month visit, we'll hit 6 month. And we'll hit 6 month. In red, this is the type of visit for payroll. In blue, this is what populates on top of the 99. So it's very important that you get both of these. It's very important that they match. And we're going to say yes because it's saying, oh, are you done? I'm not done. We're on charge management training. Sure. What's our description? It's a drop down with lots of different things that you can choose from, or you can edit it, right? If you choose to edit because something's on here, not on here that you need to put on there, you always want to preface it with EOR requested training on. In order to provide management training, the employer of record must request management training. Did they attend an annual, let's just do this one. Did they attend an annual meeting? The annual meeting for a DD waiver. It happens once a year. It's where the support coordinator gets together with the individual and any other providers that are providing services to this member. We are a provider. Maybe they do respite through Camp Baker. Camp Baker would be a provider, and they would be included in that meeting. So it's the members' team that is involved in that annual meeting. And I'm going to say, no, we didn't do an annual meeting. And if you do attend an annual meeting, you're paid more for that review. Has the recipient or caregiver had any problems with the care provided in the last 6 months? We're going to say no. Is the recipient satisfied with the services he or she receiving from provider agency? Let's hope that yes. So if the answer to these questions were anything negative, you would write a description and follow-up right below. And you know what we skipped? We shouldn't have skipped this. Current health status. How is the individual doing today? Upcoming doctor's appointments. This is the same current health status that you're used to filling out. But I do not want you to use the words stable or unstable. Describe their current health status. Here's where you would put your visit notes right below it. The two kind of go hand in hand. Current health status, again, remember, it's a limited amount of characters on that DMS 99. There's only one little line. So you're going to keep it brief, but you're going to describe it. And whatever is left over, you can put in your visit notes below. Critical incidents, we're going to answer yes or no. If you answer yes, you need to describe the nature of the incident and the actions that were taken. Yes. Mary fell down a flight of stairs and she was taken to the emergency room. Plan of care. Does the plan of care reflect the needs of the CT, the client? It should say member, but we're going to say client. And we'll hit yes. Is this visit for supervisory visit for attendant care? Yes. Is this supervisory visit for respite care? Well, I came back up here and I didn't see respite care. So, no, they don't have respite care. Or maybe they do and we just don't have it up there. But in any event, just answer the questions correctly. Number of hours in their plan of care. Remember I said remember 30, so they have 30. So we'll put 30. And if they did have respite, you could put and 480. And I've given you a little example, 30 and 480. It may be companion care, so it may be 8 and 480. Number of days per week in their plan of care. It was Monday through Sunday, I remember. Monday through Sunday, right here. So I'm going to come down and we'll put 7. Attendance present during the visit. Yes or no. Simple as that. We'll say yes. If yes, the name of the aide. And the relationship. Number of regular aides hired in the last 6 months. Have they hired any new aides that's a permanent aide for their number of hours who comes every single day within their plan of care? Let's say 1. Number of sub-aides hired in the last 6 months. Have they hired grandma, for example, just to be on backup in case the regular aide can't come? Number of days of no service in the last 6 months. Generally, that's going to be a 0. Consumer signature, service facilitator signature, printed name of the consumer, or whoever is signing this document, and your name. And next, this is a drop down. Please choose the status of this review by touching this button. Saved if you need to review it later, or process if you're ready to submit. If you're happy with everything that you've done up here, you're going to choose process and hit save, save, save. If you want to revisit your notes, if you want to look for typos, if you want to add a few things that you wanted to think about, how you wanted to verbalize it more than just being on the spot in front of the client, then you could choose saved, and hit save here. And then that would give you the ability to go back to it later to change your visit notes. It's not giving you the ability to go back and change any of the dependencies on the previous screens. Those are set in stone. That has to be done before you complete this review. But it will give you the ability to come in and tweak your notes a bit. Okay? And after that, you're finished with this. So you can go back to your little logo icon, which takes you back here. And let's say you do get back home and you want to tweak your visit notes. Let's go to add a session. Saved reviews, DMS 99. It's right here, the very first tan button. And who do you want to look at? I want to look at Val Test. And you'll hit the continue button in the upper right corner. And here you go. You do not want to hit touch here before continuing because that's going to create a new review, right? What you want to do is you just did this one for 315. You did a 6-month review. Touch that. And it may not look like it did anything, but it brought up right below your 315 review that you completed. And now you can go in and fix your visit notes. And after you do that, you can change the word saved to process and hit save. Saving and processing is different than it is in Loris. In Loris, it actually saved it and admin couldn't see anything until you processed it. Admin can now see it and know that it's completed and it's coming to us, so we're not going to bug you saying I need a 99 in order to send in the authorization. We can see that you've done it, you just haven't finished with it yet, right? So when we see the word process, or mainly when Christy sees the word process, she can know at that point in time, she can go ahead and process this for payment for you and for billing for us. So it's just as simple as that. Now, let's go back to add a session, and we're going to go down to a new plan of care. Well, let's just do begin and intake. Beginning and intake is the exact same way with a few tweaks. So we'll do Val Test. And this is the release of information. So you want to choose everyone that the information is going to be released to. They sign, you sign. Now, if there was CCC plus waiver, you don't necessarily need to share their information with DBHDS or the Community Services Board, right? Because they have nothing to do with that. However, if they're on a DD wait list, I would ask them, are you on a DD wait list? If they are, go ahead and get this checked. So when they are awarded a DD waiver, you don't have to have this release signed all over again. If they're a DD waiver, they do not have to, you don't have to check KeyPro or CCC plus MCO or their MCO care coordinator. I would leave local health department and social services because they can be involved. Support coordinator, fiscal agent, DBHDS, local community services board, and your service facilitator by TTG, their primary care doctor, personal care and respite agencies of their choice. So that's kind of the way the release of information works. Heck, if you choose everything, it's not going to hurt anything at all. I'm just giving you the reasons why those things are there. We'll go to the next. And there are 3 required documents that DMS has. It's a service agreement between the individual and the CD service facilitator. And it just defines everyone's relationships, roles, the responsibilities that we have, the responsibilities that they have, and that either party can end services at our will. The next one is that they choose to use consumer-directed services as their model of service and not agency-directed. And the last one is a training form. It's a checklist of everything that you're going to be going over with them today. So in Loris, you had to pull each one of these forms up individually and have them sign. Here, you can have them sign here, you sign here, and those signatures will appear on all 3 documents. By signing below, it is my intention for my signature to appear on all 3 of these documents and serve as my signature for each document. It just saves them a lot of signing and saves you a lot of signing. Next, are they new to services? Brand new to services, we check here. And that's terrific. If they're not, if they are a transfer and they can't get a discharge from their previous provider, they would check here. Their discharge date from the previous provider will populate here. This is an automatic calculation based upon the start of care date. So you don't even have to worry about it. It's going to do it for you. If they're a transfer from another provider and the discharge was completed, we do have one, you'd have a check here. And we may tweak this a little bit that these are pre-populated for you because it can be a bit confusing. But at this point in time, that's what all of those mean. And we'll go to the next screen. The DMS 95. This is a little up in the air, whether this needs to be completed or not. What most of you are seeing with the DMS 95 right now is used for the LRI. It's used in the opposite way that the DMS 95 was originally intended to do. The DMS 95 was originally intended for the questionnaire only if the employer of record is a family member. So DMS has now turned it around if they're not a family member to do it because of the whole LRI situation. I can't find in the manuals where this is a mandatory form that we must complete. However, during financial audits, they've wanted us to complete this form. So it's there right now. I've got a question out to DMS. I'm waiting for an answer on back. So right now, just go ahead and skip it. Don't necessarily need to complete it. And if we do, we can always complete it at a review. But at this point in time, you can just go ahead and skip it. And when you hit next, it takes you to the same screens that you were used to seeing in order to complete a normal review. So that is intake. So let's go back up. And when we get to, let's go back to where you need to be. Let's add a session, go to new plan of care. Enter the name of the member and choose continue at the top right. We want a new plan of care for Val Test. We hit continue at the top right. And this is what your plan of care screen looks like. So we want to do a new plan of care. We're seeing up here a portal that's showing you the plan of cares that are already in existence for him. And again, this is just a test person, so this is not showing it the way you're probably going to see it for a new person. But we're going to go touch me to create a new plan of care. You should be used to that by now. So we're going to touch this. This is going to be for attendant hours. Date of last 99. Let's say that you're doing it today, so it's going to be today. Ready to submit is going to be pre-populated, and you're going to leave that because once you finish, it will be ready to submit. Reason for change or additional instructions. Is this a reauthorization of hours? Is it to increase hours? To increase hours due to increased care? What's the reason? You can go on and on and on. We're just going to say request for reauthorization of hours, no changes to plan of care. If this were a new intake, you could choose new admission, increase in hours, decrease in hours, or transfer. Plan of care begins. When does this plan of care begin? Well, our last date was 9/9, but this plan of care, remember his plan of care, I think it ended on the 29th. Let's look back up there. Yes, 29/24. So we want this plan of care to begin on the 30th. Aetna is 6 months. If you're not comfortable in determining that 6-month end because it can be a little funky, you can leave it blank, and when admin processes this for you, they'll put in that end date. Attendance schedule will come up for you Monday through Sunday, so you want to make sure you're choosing it's 7 days a week. This next box is just for respite, so you can ignore that because we are doing attendant hours. And unlike Laura's, where we had to put time in for each specific day, we don't have to do that here. Well, each specific ADL. We just have to put it in for day. So let's say what they had 30 hours over 7 days a week. So let's say this is an elderly person. So they're going to have 1.75 for IADLs. And let's come over here real quick. So they're score B, right? Over here, it's some more information, IADL time. How much time can we allot for IADLs? If you choose this, it'll give you a guide. For a child under 6, the suggested IADL time is 0. They're going to cut it. A lot of times they're going to cut even over 6. But for a child, be as sparingly as possible between the ages of 6 and 18 because they're going to cut it. They just are. So let's say this is an adult at level of care B. What DMAS suggests is 1 to 1.75. If you could even get away with 1 here, that's probably better than 1.75. Let's say medications, they need help with medications. And again, with a child, that's kind of iffy, but we're going to put medications there. So now we're at 2 hours a day, 14 days, 14 weekly time, right? So that's not what I wanted to do, sorry. Now you just have to figure out your ADL time. So let's say it's not going to be 4. Let's say it's going to be 3. That gives us 35. So we can adjust the time for Saturday and Sunday. Let's say Saturday and Sunday, they only need an hour here for IADLs. Now we're down to 33.5. Maybe, let's say, family takes care of IADLs. So down to 31.5, so 0.75, so 2.25, maybe in 2.25. And now we're at 30. So this is, 10 times faster than doing this in Loris. So it lets you calculate your time. And then who's signing it? They sign, you sign, save it, and you're good to go. So if you come back up here, you see we did attendant hours. Plan of care effective date is 3/30/24. There's no end date because it's not been submitted yet. So as admin submits this, you'll see ready to submit, change to submitted, and then change to active when it's approved. So that is your plan of care. So from there, hopefully we're not going to make any more changes. We're just going to work with what we have till everybody learns it so we can know and understand if the change is actually needed or warranted. Sorry this was so long, but thanks for watching.